What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Hope everybody's having a great day or night whenever you're watching this. I want to talk about the New Orleans Pelicans, and yes, they're struggling. Yes, there's so many reasons to give up on them, but I want to talk about personally why I am not giving up on the New Orleans Pelicans season. I think there's still a lot of hope out there, still a lot of good things that can happen. I want to break down why. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and if you enjoy this kind of content, please like the video. But before I do, question. Have you given up on the New Orleans Pelicans? Why or why not? Let me know in the comments why. I'm going to explain why I haven't right now. Okay, let's get into it. We'll start with the bad, right? So they're on a 10-game losing streak. A lot of these games, not very close games. Defensively have been struggling. Offensively have probably been struggling even worse than the defense. So you have all that, right? Zion's injured. Brandon Ingram came back. Hadn't really looked great in his first few games back. Right. So there's all these things that look negative, right? But the last game they played, Ingram, this is against the Mavericks, looked pretty close to his normal self, like 26 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, good efficiency, kind of like what we hope he can be, right? So I think getting him back, looks healthy, especially in that last game, knocking off that rust. Missed a couple months, so it takes time to knock off rust. Usually 2 to 3 games for most players, so I wasn't in the least bit surprised at the struggle that he had, but I'm giving him hope because we know how great he is when he's healthy. So he's one reason to be hopeful for them, right? The other main reason is Zion, right? So he's coming back at some point in time. There is an injury update where he's being reevaluated in 1 week, right? So that puts him on like the 9th or something like that of February to get reevaluated. My guess is that he'll get reevaluated. They'll start to kind of ramp him up, and then he'll come back after the All-Star break, which is like the 17th through the 19th of February. Brings him back for a game against the Raptors. That would be on February 23rd. So we would be still about 20 days away at this point in time of me recording this video. But there's 6 games in between then. They're going to play teams like the Hawks, the Thunder, the Lakers, the Kings. Like these aren't like not winnable games, but they can definitely snag a couple. I think if you go 2-4 or 3-3 in this stretch, kind of get Ingram back into his groove, get the bench kind of in their groove again, players back in their roles that they were supposed to be playing in the beginning of the season. I think there's a lot of good to see from that. Then you have, of course, your best player in the entire team and one of the best players on the planet coming back healthy, ready to join the fray. Okay, and what do we see a lot of times with teams that want to be contenders is it's a lot of getting healthy at the right time or being healthy and then peaking at the right time. I think they have all the makings of doing that, especially when you look at the schedule that they have to finish the season. They have like the second easiest schedule of anybody left, right? So a lot of winnable games. They've got a couple games against the Rockets, the Hornets, the Spurs, like teams that are just bad, teams that are struggling like the Blazers, Knicks. Like they have a lot of winnable games, and getting healthy at the right time with all their star power with these winnable games is a really good formula for being faithful, being hopeful that they can turn this around. And even without Brandon Ingram in the beginning of the season, before Zion got hurt about 15 games ago, they were floating between the 1st and the 3rd seed. There was a period of time where they were in the 1 seed, the 2 seed, and the 3 seed. Like they were one of the very best teams in basketball, especially offensively too. So obviously when you lose Zion, you lose one of your best players, the offense is going to take a dive. And sure, it's probably going to take a minute to get Zion and Ingram back on the floor together. These guys really haven't played too much in the past 2 years together. And then you mix in the trio of CJ, Zion, and Ingram. They really haven't played pretty much at all in the past couple of years. So, at least together, I should say. So, sure, there are injury concerns. But you see it time and time again where the team gets healthy and then they're able to make that push. And last year, they did literally the exact same thing. They were one of the worst teams in basketball last year up until basically middle of January, I think. And that was because Brandon Ingram was missing a lot of games. He came back. It was him and CJ. The team, Jose Alvarado, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, like just Valanciunas, a lot of other guys stepped up. They make the playoff push. They take a good Suns team to 6 to where, if you're thinking about it, with Zion, they probably beat them, right? But that's a hypothetical and we'll never know. This year, it could just be, now they got Ingram back, they got CJ playing decent basketball, and then you're going to have Zion coming back fresh legs. He missed a good 6 weeks probably by the point in time that he would get back. And I'm cool with it. I think that they have more than enough talent. I think their coaching is decent enough to where I think Willie Green can keep the locker room together so that they don't just completely fall apart. Sure, they've lost 10 in a row, like I said, But I don't think that's the end of the world because, the reasons that they've lost these 10 in a row are due in large part to injury. And if they're going to get healthy, and we saw what they looked like with just Zion and CJ, why wouldn't they be any better with CJ, Zion, and Ingram all playing together? They're all great at different things, right? CJ can kind of give you tough buckets here and there, can get to the rim, can create a little bit. Ingram's basically an amped up version of that, and then Zion is like the super psycho of that. So I'm hopeful. I'm not giving up on them. I'm not throwing in the towel yet. If they're playing this bad come mid-March, then sure, then I'll take my loss, but I'm not going to give up on them just yet. So obviously, for them to make the playoffs and get this push, get this team back together, first things first, you got to get healthy. That's obviously the biggest box they need to check, and it looks like Zion is right around the corner from getting there, which is a good sign. Pretty much most of the rest of the team is fairly healthy from what I've seen, but I'm still excited for them. I still think they're going to be really, really good in the playoffs. I think that they'll probably finish around the 5 seed just because they did lose a lot of ground over these past couple of weeks from this losing streak. But I think if you're anywhere 5 or above, honestly, I wouldn't want to play them if they were the 9 seed. Like it is what it is. So I think that they can probably get to the 5 seed, maybe the 4. That's kind of the range I see them getting to, which is still a good season, especially with all the injury concerns and issues that they had, because obviously you lost a huge chunk of Brandon Ingram. Now you've lost a chunk of Zion, but then you get them all back at the same time, and it could be special. So yeah, good quality team. They have star power. They're getting healthy. They have good depth. You have bigs that can play. You have wings that can play. You have guards that can play. A lot of reason to be hopeful. I'm going to stay hopeful for now. Let me know in the comments, have you given up on NOLA? Do you think that when Zion gets back that they are a force to be reckoned with? What is your opinion of them right now? Because obviously the idea of them is going to be very negative given that they're on a 10-game losing streak. And, this is probably one of the only times I've ever been confident in a team that has lost this many games in a row. But when you factor in all the reasons, I think it's pretty rational at the end of the day. So let me know, am I being stupid? It's fine with me. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you enjoy this kind of content, please like the video. But I'm not quitting on the Pelicans. I'll see you in April when they're a 5 seed. Peace.